Finally, after the departure from the trade city of Feces, Sora checks his status board, finding himself upgraded to level 28 after his continuous walking. Sora observes that his mana points also increased along with other skills, because of his newest profession as an alchemist. Sora happily acquired his newest skills, consisting of fire and water magic, as well as telepathy and shooting. His shooting ability boosts his precision and long-range attacks, which would aid his training with his gun. Sora also liked picking fire magic for the sole reason of incinerating his foes, while using water magic to manipulate large bodies of water instead of using his other skills. Our boy became Todoroki from My Hero Academia all of a sudden. Sora reflects that he needs to learn more types of magic in order to become classified as a mage, which is why he intends to take up such types in the future. For his telepathy skill, Sora deploys his ability to communicate with Seal, who is surprised that he can communicate with him without mouthing any words. Seal is especially happy because they can communicate at all times. Sora shows him the new title of the Spirit Tamer and pats the gentle spirit. Seal suddenly buzzes off. Sora apologizes for being too comfortable with the spirit, but Seal just speedily tackles our boy full force. Bro nearly sent him to the afterlife with that attack. After that, Siphon bids his farewell to the talented boy, while Sora hopes for him to succeed in their subjugation mission. Regarding the tiger wolf, Sora boards his carriage and sees the city of Feces. There are other people on the carriage, while Sora uses telepathy to communicate with Seal in private, wondering if other people can also hear him while he's using telepathy. Sora declares the beginning of their true journey as they aspire to travel all over the world. Traversing through the southern gate of Feces, Sora claims that they'll arrive in the city of Epica, which is to the south of the royal capital. The carriages have to take an alternative route because of the looming danger of the tiger wolf and the usual one. They also shared many nights camping by the roadside, with Sora impressing the people with his delicious food. One of the men shares a story of the recent surge in monsters popping all over the world, increasing the number of subjugation quests at their guilds. Another man shares that he once traded in a town near the Black Forest, which is rumored to situate the lair of the Demon Lord's castle just beyond it. The man claims that the small town also turned into a proper border fortress with the surge in monsters, to the point that they had bumped up their defenses. The people fret over their experiences and want to flee to the other kingdoms, while Sora is busy contemplating what is going wrong with their world. After 3 days of their departure from Feces, Sora is asked why he is headed for the royal capital, as his looks don't make him seem to be a merchant of any kind. Sora replies, stating he likes to travel around different countries and hopes to do the same after arriving in Epica. Sora asks them about the famous tourist locations around the area, as he's not familiar with the capital. The people share that there is a village known for special food called the Foos Village, which is known for a rare type of ingredient. Sora's mouth immediately begins to water, wondering about the kind of food. When it is revealed to be that of cheese, Sora is dazzled and tells Seal that cheese bears a creamy yet rich flavor, making it delicious. Seal, being the little foodie spirit that he is, flaps his ears in joy in the hopes of satisfying his appetite. Never change, you adorable fluff ball, never change. Sora decides to take a detour by stopping at Foos Village. This village is the beginning of their journey with an unknown destination. Sora wonders what lies ahead and can't help but feel excited. Their original plan was to arrive in Pullum on the 4th day, except Sora and Seal took their detour and left the carriage halfway through the 2nd day. Sora bid the other carriage members farewell and felt satisfied having taken this side trip. He happily walks ahead to head right into Foos Village. Sora takes a side path to the village, humming his way through. He chants for his status bar and finds that his spatial magic has actually leveled up, enabling him access to a map. For the first time, Sora chants display map to discover a personal navigation system that points to his current location. The map also has multi-views, allowing Sora to keep track of where he came from. Sora combines his mapping ability with presence detection and discovers shapes nearby, realizing that these are the passengers that are left on the carriage. Sora celebrates, having acquired the ability to precisely locate the presence of other beings. Transitioning to a serious thought, Sora doesn't feel like he is being spied on at the moment, and his map adds to his claim. Sora wonders if someone used a high concealment skill instead, and decides not to worry about it. Sora finally arrives to witness the spectacle of the Foos Village. Sora spots a few cows and ponders if the village specializes in poultry and livestock. He finds the serene environment to be nothing short of peaceful and calls over a villager's attention. Sora introduces himself as a traveler looking for the rumored cheese. The villagers are surprised to find this young traveler, as they are usually rare to come by in their village. Not even merchants drop by the village to buy goods from them. The village states that they can hardly sell some pieces, which is not enough for their businesses to prove profitable. Sora denies any thought of doing business and states that he only came to eat. The villager is stunned, wondering why someone would come to their village, all the way just to eat. Sora is in a hurry to find an inn to stay the night and wants to take some cheese with him home. The villager finds his passion contagious and ensures that the boy will have a great time in their village. Sora is told the location of the inn and looks curious to try out the rumored cheese. That evening, Sora receives the best dinner of his life, confirming that the cheese is, in fact, real. Sora finds the sandwiches filled to the brim with veggies and cheese, and also baked potatoes topped with melted cheese. Sora takes a bite out of the sandwich, relishing such a delicious taste. He becomes passionate about the name, cheese, and praises its use in the recipe. Sora also discovers that there are tomatoes in this world, exclusive to their village. Finally, he tried out their meat and then baked potatoes with cheese. The gooey cheesiness cripples him in food heaven, while Seal is just dying to try it out. Sora knows that his little spirit can't eat in front of the guests, and decides to take the plate up to his room. There, he feeds Seal a heartfelt amount of cheese, reducing the fluff ball into a lovable mess for food. Sora is glad that Seal's first cheese experience was wonderful, and hopes to explore the village tomorrow. The following morning, he turns to the village for a delicious breakfast, just after his premium dinner from last night. Sora cherishes the experience of cheese, leaving Seal utterly drooling for a taste. He sneakily slips a piece under the table, which isn't enough to help out Seal, and he lets out a disappointing sigh. Dude could eat an entire cheese factory and still won't feel satisfied. After this mouth-watering breakfast, Sora takes a good look at the village and finds a peaceful view. Seal is resting on top of a cow and wakes up to the sound of Sora telling him they're about to get some more cheese. Sora walks over to the shed and finds the same nice villager greeting him from yesterday. The man tells him that all their cheese actually comes from his shed and invites Sora inside. Completely baffled in awe and amazement at the aroma of cheese, Sora lays his eyes on the giant pot used to heat up the milk, before leaving it for fermentation. They also use magic liquid for clumping to finally give birth to the delicious cheese. The villager inquires further into Sora's intention of coming over to his shed. With a drooling expression, Sora says that he only came to buy cheese and other dairy products. Sora wants 3 wheels of cheese, along with butter and milk included, which comes as a shock to the man, who reminds him that those wheels will be quite heavy and won't just fit into a bag. Sora blurts out that he has a magic bag, catching the attention of the worker, who is desperate to see one since the object is so rare. Sora tries to make up an excuse, claiming that he left it at the inn and could show him next time. The villager mentions that he has just run out of butter and invites Sora to try out making some himself. They come over to a cylinder that is used to form butter by pouring milk inside and then stomping it with a lid. Sora proceeds to do the same, finding the activity to be incredibly taxing on his body. Sora is shocked to discover that he has to pound at least 8,000 times before getting his desired product. Being the clever adventurer he is, Sora decides to deploy his walking ability and proceeds to pound without exhaustion. Only a little while later, Sora lays his eyes on the wonderful sight of their handmade butter. The villager offers him the butter for free in return for his hard work, which Sora accepts in kind. Sora carries the 3 wheels of cheese along with the butter and later stores it in his storage magic, where no one can see. The following day, the day of his departure, Sora received more lunch packages and tomatoes, which were gifts from his innkeepers. Sora bids farewell to the lovely villagers and wonders if they have any places for him to see around. The lady claims that he could travel to a big lake in the woods on his way to the main road, hosting the beautiful sights of a sunset with gleaming water. Sora leaves the Foos village, remembering his warm experiences with each person. He finds the woods he came from and journeys with his spirit ahead towards the lake. A place around the same woods, a path branches off to the right, which hosts the sights of the beautiful lake. Sora travels using this path and wonders if he should follow the small trail. Sora happily walks ahead, finding his activity to be quite fun. The boy also takes some branches and stores them for firewood later. Sora spots his beloved shiitake mushrooms and drools at the thought of eating mushrooms fried in butter. However, when he uses his appraisal skill, they pop up as heavily poisonous mushrooms, with the consumption rate leading to straight death. Sora doesn't digest that fact well, and thanks himself for inspecting the mushrooms first. Well, he nearly dodged that bullet. He decides to hoard a few and moves on ahead. Sora also allows Seal to look around as freely as he wants, believing that his spirit is fond of nature. Sora uses his magic map to locate the distance to the lake and realizes that it's just nearby. He continues to walk until he stumbles across the ethereal sight of the lake with its vast beauty. Sora feels at home with the bed of flowers just underneath him. It's as if he has found heaven by discovering a place as unique as this. Sora locates the cabin his innkeeper told him about. He gently walks towards the lake. In fact, Sora is so cautious that he ensures that he does not step on any of the flowers. Like this video to show support to this wholesome MC. Hovering right over the water of the lake, Sora takes note of the crystal clarity that makes him see all the way to the bottom. He places his hand, gently letting himself feel the cold water. Sora thinks that he could sit in such a place for hours on end. Seal returns to him after his personal travels, and Sora declares that it's time for them to chow down for lunch. The two share their lunch near the cabin, while enjoying the view of the beautiful lake. Sora also cooks up a personal cheese recipe, and suddenly hears a voice in his head directing him to lower the flame, so as to ensure the cheese doesn't melt. Sora hastily follows the advice of his cooking skill, and lowers the temperature using water magic. After letting it rest for a while, Sora's smoked cheese comes out just perfect. Their day finally came to an end, and spending the time under the starry sky, Sora cooked up a tomato soup for himself and Seal. For the first time, Sora tells Seal that he once belonged to a place called Tokyo, which was industrial with all its might, bearing the same boring view every day and every night. However, ever since he arrived in this world to be chosen and kicked out as a hero, he ends up meeting Rurika and Chris, and also finds a friend in the Fluffball spirit himself. Sora is amazed by the surprising turn of events that his life led to this moment. Sora tells Seal that he has no desire to become a hero whatsoever and hopes to keep walking. Under this beautiful starry sky, the flowers give birth to shimmering bubbles of light, perfectly encapsulating an unparalleled experience. Sora finds the world to be brilliant beyond words, and asks if Seal will continue to journey with him together to travel. Seal nods in excitement, drawing a pure smile across Sora's face, who thinks they should finish their tomato soup at once. The next morning, Seal wakes up to Sora cooking their breakfast for them. The two of them intend to start their morning with a lovely meal under the view of the sun. Sora also made use of both his fire and water magic, gaining control over the magnitude of his flames, and creating water with his water magic. Sora thinks that he should combine both fire and water magic to form hot water, but the control over both elements at once is difficult for him to perfect. He initially thought that he would only be using his magic as an attack, but it turned out to be more useful than that. Every time he uses either magic skill, the skill levels up, allowing him to unlock better abilities. Sora shares his baked bacon on white bread, topping it with the melted cheese. With their delicious meal ready, the two are quick to draw a bite from another savory experience. After breakfast, Sora hopes to continue on with his journey. He gives the pleasant scenery a final view, regretting that he couldn't spend time with Rurika and Chris on such a beautiful sight. After his side trips, Sora reverts his sights back to the southern border city of Epica. Sora continuously traveled for 3 days on foot, reaching Pullum with 5 more days waiting ahead to reach his destination. Sora knows that camping can be dangerous, but he uses a safer path to reach Epica, and also encounters a traveling group of people headed in the same direction. That's where he discovers that Siphon was actually successful in his subjugation mission against the tiger wolf. Like always, Sora delights them with his top-tier cooking skills and finds the group to be full of wonderful people. At night, Sora participates in night duties as well and pairs his combined map magic with presence detection for a full-scale view of potential threats. Sora doesn't sense any dangers and looks at a new skill called night vision, which allows him to have special vision at night. Sora takes the skill and sees the night as clear as day using his ability. Sora then separated his thoughts using parallel thinking, resting one half of his brain while focusing on the other. Sora also wants to run his presence detection skill at all times, but knows that it's not the best skill. His skill also reacts to any small animals nearby, while Sora thinks that he should upgrade it even further to gauge the danger of an opponent. He decides to head to sleep with his usual setup, surprising one of the campers with his awkward sitting posture. After 4 days of continuous travel, Sora is making his way near Epica without even taking 5 whole days. Sora finds it easy to walk, even after dusk with his night vision skill, and checks his status board again. Because of his continuous walking for days on end, Sora directly leveled up to 30. Seal congratulates him, while Sora stares at the skill he received the first day he formed a contract with the spirit. He tried to deploy it before, only to drain himself completely out of his mana points with nothing occurring. Sora reads into Chris notes about spirit magic and wonders if holy magic and spirit magic are 2 separate powers. Sora hopes to channel spirit magic someday, and glances at his cute fluff ball floating in the air. Finally, Sora comes to face the southern border city of Epica, concluding his long journey. Sora discovers the beautiful city of Epica and discovers a field inside the walls. Epica is apparently a structure surrounded by 2 circular walls with space in between. That is being used for agriculture. The inner circle represents the city itself, with its atmosphere being the same as the royal capital. Sora found himself comfortable by reserving an inn for a few days and headed right to the guild for delivery requests. Sora paces ahead, reflecting that he's going to be deciding where to go next. After his 5 days of stay in this city, he asks about Seal's insight, who simply tells him that any place works best so long as it has good food. A man calls for the boy's attention and wonders if he got to eat his cheese in Foos village. Sora realizes that Mr. Claude is the one who traveled with him on their carriage ride. The man also invited him inside his gigantic mansion, claiming to be the president of a trading company. In other words, this man has reached millionaire status. Sora is stunned and invited inside, where he is served refreshing tea. Sora shows him the cheese he acquired, delighting Mr. Claude with its delicious salty taste for a lasting effect. Mr. Claude quickly finds himself becoming a cheese addict and eats away, pairing it with his beer. Not only that, Mr. Claude believes that he might have spotted a perfect way to make a profitable business, which is selling some cheese. After that, Sora spent 3 more days just idly walking around the city and decided to visit a slave trader in the hopes of finding Rurika and Chris friends. When he arrives at the slave trader, Sora barges inside for a conversation. However, he is quickly kicked out of the place for being called a child. Sora is absolutely terrified by the man, and nearly gives up when he remembers his true purpose. He gets up to face his fears, claiming that he's got all the money in the world, as he is a customer. Then the Oscar for the best actor goes to Sora. The slave trader suddenly adopts an interested smile, as money is the only thing capable of making him speak. He welcomes Sora inside, who asks about 2 girls, being that of an elf and a beast person, who went missing. The slave trader realizes that he is referring to war slaves and claims that their categories are divided into 3 types. The first is that of sentenced criminals, known as convicted slaves. Those imprisoned due to war become war slaves, and those who are plainly sold for money are called debt slaves. The slave trader tells him that he doesn't really have any elf or beast person in his stock, and counters that Sora could use a guard for his travels, as they have plenty of options to choose from. The trader claims that his war slaves are the finest and invites the boy to take a look for himself. Sora is the utmost annoyed and declares that he has heard enough before exiting the building. Seal accompanies him while the boy reflects his distaste for the very thought of slavery. Walking his way across town, Sora discovers a few adventurers running in the opposite direction. One of them tells him that there was an attack on a big caravan by a group of orcs that completely annihilated the 10 guards. That is why all adventurers are being summoned for a subjugation mission. When asked about his rank, Sora claims that he's a D ranker. His fellow adventurer wishes him to cheer them on in their battle, implying that D rank is not enough for the battle ahead. Sora once again wonders why there are monsters popping all over the world as of recently. He knows that Siphon's subjugation mission went smoothly and hopes that this mission will turn out the same. A few days pass by, and Sora finds himself inside the guild house to discover the latest news. The orcs have been defeated, but apparently there is a high-ranking monster terrorizing their forces, which is why the backup assistance of knights is requested immediately. The receptionist calls for Sora's attention and claims that they've got a special quest for him. Sora is shocked because he's just a D ranker, but the receptionist claims that he's actually pretty popular regarding his gathering quests, as reported by the Guild of Feces. Sora realizes that his achievement at Feces might have turned out troublesome in the end. The receptionist tells him about their requests for the extra potions regarding their orc subjugation mission, except they don't have any stocks to send them. because of their difficult situation. It is necessary for them to gather the essential ingredients for potions, which is why they are seeking Sora's help along with others. Sora states that he would be happy to take part in the mission. After some time, he onboards on his mission, surrounded by a bunch of other gatherers who find him to be a famous expert. On their gathering quest, all of the members are supportive of the Subjugation team and hope to do their best. They ended up setting a base camp in the forest and split up in 4 directions to maximize area efficiency. Their intention is to spend 2 days in the forest to gather as much stock as possible, as they're looking for mana grass as well as other medical herbs. Sora knows that medical herbs are often mistaken for mana grass, and thankfully, he can just spam his appraisal skill and immediately classify each type of herb he's looking for. Sora deploys his map to check another area. However, he's struck by the presence of monsters that appear on his map, only 200 meters ahead. Sora wonders if it is the wolves and knows that there aren't supposed to be any monsters in this forest. He suddenly notices that the monsters change their direction, targeting his presence. Sora takes his guard in order to fight off the beast. He detects 4 wolves and thinks that upon getting surrounded, he will be easily defeated. Sora finally whips out his gun, despite being inexperienced with such a weapon. He takes his aim, knowing that he has no other choice left in the matter. Suddenly, the 4 wolves pop out at once, while Sora prepares his shot, channeling his shooting skill and energizing his gun, before releasing a powerful strike that takes out one of the wolves. Sora kills another and cares for the 2, closing in on him. The wolves are aware of his weapon, making it difficult for him to take aim. In response to this development, Sora immediately deploys his concealment magic, going invisible and catching the wolves off guard before slashing them with his blade. For the final wolf, Sora uses his gun and fires a shot, gunning him down. Sora is surprised to have defeated all of them in one go. He apologizes to Seal for the gunshot noises and inspects his status screen, spotting a vanishing figure. Sora thinks that he shouldn't be worried, but what he doesn't know is that there is a mysterious figure spying on him in the shadows. Sora thinks that it might have been a part of his imagination and reflects that there isn't anyone around. He dismantles the wolf and hopes to reunite with the others. However, Sora soon realizes that his map actually indicates a figure. He turns to look behind, only to spot no one there. Sora wonders what the flickering dot could imply, and contemplates if this is the observer tailing him. After finding a moment of peace, Sora exhales in relief and communicates with Seal using telepathy magic. Sora informs him about this mysterious entity, and chalks it off, thinking that his map is malfunctioning. He wants to head back to base when a protective Seal shows his annoyance, and is ready to throw hands at anyone that comes their way. Reuniting with the rest, Sora spilled the beans about his encounter with the wolves. They also finished the quest to gather the medicinal grass much sooner than their deadline, and began to leave for their trip. Sora wonders if his appraisal skill leveled up, since he spammed this ability while gathering the herbs. He opens his status window to find that his skill has actually reached max status, along with presence detection. Sora wonders if the flickering was caused by his ability to level up. He also spots the new skills, one being that of mana detection, and the other to appraise living beings. Sora notes that they only popped up after he maxed out his current 2 skills, which makes him conclude that there must be an even higher tier of skills. Sora purchases the 2 expensive skills using his points of view, and worries about his issues with the observer's eye. Having acquired his finest new abilities, Sora decides to try out his upgraded appraisal skill on Alina, who is fast asleep. Sora is capable of seeing past the names of people and their levels, and proceeds to use mana detection, which shows him a view of their mana. Sora thinks that it's not a useful skill to gather information, as his presence detection does a much better job. Sora almost thinks that he wasted his points, and gives the skill a chance to flourish once leveled up. Sora then opens his status window to observe his occupation, as he has also leveled up. He finds his current occupation to be that of a scout, specializing in detection skills. He equips his new job, and delivers the gathered herbs back to the guild, completing their quest. Sora and his crew are appreciated for their immense hard work. The receptionist claims that they will be sending these to the Order of Knights, which is a group that Sora hasn't seen before. The receptionist explained that they're the heavy cavalry unit, which is the pride of Epica City. The following morning, Sora comes to witness these beloved, proud knights as they encapsulate the hopes of the people of the city. The Order of Knights is entirely gathered to subjugate the orcs, with their leader initiating the order to move out to eliminate such rampaging monsters. Sora is captivated by their group and tries to see them off until the very end. Sora is about to head back when he hears Siphon's team calling him from behind. Siphon is pleased to meet the boy once again on their journey. Gathered under the Guild of Epica, Siphon catches up on the situation regarding the subjugation mission involving the Order of the Knights. Sora also explains that all of their adventurers are out of town. Sora congratulates Siphon for completing his subjugation mission against the Tiger Wolf, and suddenly asks him if he has experience fighting orcs before. Siphon claims that he fought them once, which motivates Sora to ask if he himself is strong enough to face such enemies. Siphon is surprised that Sora, of all people, is taking an interest in fighting. Sora claims that he would have to travel to different parts of the world by himself, which is why he is interested in knowing about his chances of survival against an orc. Siphon claims that the best way to judge that is to test his abilities in a mock battle. In the training arena, Sora and Siphon come face to face for the third time. Sora begins his immediate strikes, while Siphon tells him that these attacks are useless against the orcs, as they have a bulky physique. Sora puts more force behind his strikes, which is enough for Siphon to give him the green signal, stating that it wouldn't be impossible for him to win. Siphon proceeds to deliver a strike of his own, an attack that Sora faces great difficulty while blocking, as he is sent flying in the air. Sora crashes on the ground and wonders if Siphon has always possessed such monstrous strength before. Using his appraisal skill, Sora indicates that this man's level is actually 30, which is double that of the average adventurer that he comes across. Sora winces to complain that his teacher was holding back the entire time. Sora hopes to take him down in their next encounter, while Siphon offers him a training session in regard to his subjugation mission. Flattered by this amazing offer, Sora immediately wants to join the training with the others. After that, they battled in groups, and Sora gained experience in one-on-one duels. The result of those battles concluded that Sora won 10 matches and lost only 5. In the following days, Sora continued to train using such mock battles, and also took smaller quests to pass his time. That is, until a messenger arrived to report their session, exclaiming that all of the orcs have been defeated, concluding their subjugation mission. The people of Epica celebrate in amazement, and only 2 days later, the subjugation forces return with horrified expressions on their faces, and parts of their bodies lost. Sora claims that the battalion was cut in half in number, and although they edged out in the end, none of the knights even dared to consider this battle a victory. Siphon lunges forth to inquire about the subjugation mission from Draco. Sora also knows Draco, and he is the one who talked to him when he was about to leave for the mission. Siphon tries his best to force Draco, who just stands terrified in silence. Finally, Draco explains that there will be an official announcement made public by the guild tomorrow. He still recalls the horrifying sight, the sight of the demon they saw that day. Draco explains that they were going around, destroying many of the orc camps to free the human hostages. Draco was excited to see their elite knights and the A-rank adventurers show off their skills in battle, defeating the likes of the orc generals as well. Regrouping with their party, the entire group laid their eyes on the mighty demonic force hovering in the skies. This entity appeared like a person floating in the skies, and with only one sway of his arm, he utterly annihilated some of the carriage members. Reduced in a state of fear, the Order of the Knights began their first attack, aiming with their archers and mage squads, along with high-ranking adventurers. Their army released the brunt of their projectiles at the demon, who easily blocked all of them by engulfing himself in a protective barrier. The demon proceeded to vaporize the leader of the knights in his second attack, with his dead body flopping to the ground. This reduced the morale of the entire subjugation squad as they began to flee away. However, the demon showed them no mercy, ruthlessly slaughtering the many humans in front of him. When asked if he is the Demon King, the lowly servant claimed that someone the likes of him can't even compare to his master. Dude, if this is the level of a servant, imagine how OP the Demon Lord is. Draco is shocked to discover the demon's identity and wants to leave immediately. The demon vaporizes his friend in an instant, reducing Draco to a fainted mess as he passes out from his fear. When Draco woke up, he was helped by the remaining members and observed the decimated battleground left after his brutal massacre. It was as if hell itself descended upon their planet. Siphon and Sora are shocked to hear such a story. Sora's body trembles at the very thought of these demonic beings existing. At the same time, Siphon claims that after the revelations regarding the existence of the Demon King, many people thought that they weren't true. However, their most frightening challenge so far has actually proved the very existence of entities known as the demons. At the kingdom of Alessia, the king is feasting on his meal when he is informed of an urgent report from the one tailing Sora, claiming that there is an update on his abilities. The report concludes that Sora used a projectile weapon that doesn't even belong to their world. The king is confused and wonders if Sora intentionally hid his abilities from the start. He orders his servant to investigate further into the boy's powers, which will determine his use for their nation. The king issues an order to recover Sora back to the kingdom of Alessia, allowing his servant to use any force necessary to bring him back. Number 13, otherwise known as Sora's spy, hears the details of his mission and immediately begins executing the mission. One day passed after the return of the subjugation party. With demons running around, the atmosphere inside their guild became tense when it once used to be noisy. Siphon greets Sora and points towards a wolf subjugation quest, claiming that he's going to execute the quest with his team. Siphon advises Sora to gather as much money as he can, to flee the borders of Kingdom Alessia, as it has become a dangerous place to be. Sora wonders what the C-rank adventurer plans to do from here on out. Siphon claims that he and his team will be staying near the capital, as adventurers like him are needed to control the monsters. Sora finds this to be an amazing fact, while Siphon directs his attention to another quest, to eliminate giant spiders for gathering herbs. Siphon thinks that it's the perfect quest for Sora to tag along. He happily decides to join this venture with his team, and gains ever-growing respect for Siphon, who he thinks is a great guy. After that, the group traveled to their destination. On their way, Sora talked to the members of the goblins' grief in detail, only to discover that they became adventurers to realize their own dreams. That is why they go around taking quests in many different places. Sora respects their goals in life and shares their sweet endeavors with Seal. Upon reaching their destination, Sora gets off the carriage and bids them farewell on their subjugation mission. Siphon and his team also bless him with their wishes before seeing him off. Sora aims to do his very best on his quest with Seal. He ventures into the forest, realizing that wolves are probably home to such a thick line of trees. Suddenly, Sora is seized by a military force of archers, who inquire for his identity. Frightened and alarmed, Sora claims that he's just some D-ranked adventurer who came for a wolf subjugation quest. Hearing this, they lower their weapons, with one of the archers deciding to lead the boy right to their village mayor. Sora follows him, and is struck by the tense and grim atmosphere of the villagers, as if they have been traumatized. The villagers begin to surround him, begging and hoping for the adventurer's help in rescuing their daughter from menacing orcs. Haunted by the harrows of this realization, Sora finds himself with a troubling look on his face. The villagers beg Sora to eliminate the orcs. One man stands up for him, claiming that Sora is just a D-rank adventurer who came to take care of the wolves alone, as this task is too much for someone of his caliber. He apologizes to Sora, claiming that they've been in a tight spot as of late. Entering the mayor's house, Sora appears to eliminate the wolves. The mayor thanks him for coming all this way, while his assistant intends to share the details of the mission, and also offers Sora a room at his place for the night. Sora thanked him and shared a drink with the man, who emphasized that Sora would not be blamed for abandoning the quest. After hearing the story, the man explains that their village was attacked by orcs only 3 days ago, and because of the shortage of adventurers, 7 women and children, including some livestock, were all abducted. Sora observes his house, believing that the man also had a family or children. He trembles at the thought of the story, and claims that he only accepted the mission because he knew for sure there wouldn't be any orcs surrounding the area. The villager explains that this attack is the first of its kind, as monsters never surface in this area. Sora thinks that this might be happening because of the existence of the demon who fled their territory and found a new spot. Sora wonders if they have contacted the guild about the matter. The man tells him that it would take them a few days to get here, and with most villagers already taken refuge, they don't have much of a choice, and don't pressure Sora into staying either. Sora faces his fears, claiming that he is an adventurer who has accepted the quest with the intention of seeing it through until the end. That night, Sora faces trouble sleeping as he remembers his conversation with Lance, who claimed that they filed a request for support yesterday. Sora knows that even if such a quest reaches the guild, there is no telling if a party would even take up the quest to a small village. Not only that, if they waited it out, the orcs would finish off the ones they took captive. Sora can't help but remember the distraught faces of the troubled villagers. He wants to help them, but struggles to cope with the dangers of this mission. Sora calls his map with the largest scale and detects the 5 orcs from right around the edge. He also discovers the 7 kidnapped villagers and remembers Siphon's advice. Sora inspects his acquired skills and wonders if someone like him can take down 5 whole orcs. Sora just can't fathom fighting alone, as making even the smallest of mistakes could result in his demise. Sora comes to his senses after seeing Seal, who puts him at ease with his presence. The boy is reminded of the many people that he helped, and those who supported him ever since he became a part of this world. Sora wants to return the favor by acting in their support instead. He thanks the little fluffball and settles on his decision for tomorrow. The following morning, Lance tells Sora about his mission regarding the wolves. However, Sora turns him down, stating that he has a plan to rescue the kidnapped people held captive by the orcs. After his declaration, Lance discourages Sora from taking on such a dangerous mission. Sora claims that he is aware of the dangers and still wants to act as a decoy in this mission, creating an opening for them to save the villagers. Sora tells him that he needs 5 men from the village to ensure the success of the mission. Lance tries to talk him down, but Sora reminds him that this is the only way they could save his family. Lance explains that it is because of his injured condition that he can't go as an adventurer. Sora inspects his status, finding him to be a level 8 adventurer. Sora hands him a bag full of healing potions, telling him that he should get healed in order to help save his wife and daughter. Lance regains morale and talks to the mayor to arrange their best 5 men for the job. While he was busy with the mayor, Sora observed his skills and found his spatial magic bumping up to level 7, allowing him to create the likes of a barrier. Sora deploys the barrier in various shapes, manipulating it on all sorts of levels. He also picks up a higher tiger skill of swordsmanship to enhance his sword abilities, doubling his attack power. Sora thinks that while this is a basic skill, it will prove to be useful against the sturdy orcs. Lance assembles his men and brings them to Sora, who takes charge of their mission. Arriving at the site of the orcs, they find their residence to be worn down, which means taking a fight inside would prove to be dangerous for the hostages. Only a while earlier, Sora discussed his plans with Lance and his team. Sora reasoned that he would circle across the building at noon and wait for the orcs to come outside, and the moment they were all out, he would draw their attention with his magic by producing a loud bang. This will allow him to become the decoy getting chased, while Lance and his team are to enter inside and rescue the hostages. At present, they find the 4 orcs patrolling outside. Sora fires his gun in the air, producing such a loud bang that it draws the orcs' attention right towards him. The first phase of their plan is set into motion, as Sora is being chased by these thick-skinned monstrosities. Sora makes the orcs tail him and mustered his courage to face them as an adventurer. Sora deploys his parallel thinking ability in the hopes of taking down 1 or 2. However, his expectations are completely shattered when he witnesses the strength of an orc right before his eyes. Sora remembers Siphon's words for locating openings against the orcs. Using this information, he manages to deliver a potent strike to one of the orcs and uses his skilled sword slash to finish the job. With 1 monster defeated, he proceeds to shoot down another with his gun. Sora has defeated 3 orcs, leaving only 1. The orc begins to howl uncontrollably, which is the exact moment Sora is looking for. This forces the guardian orc to come their way, allowing Lance and his men to rescue the hostages and make their escape. Sora wants to take care of the orc in front of him before it receives backup from its friend. However, he's baffled when the orc tears apart a tree and nearly slams him with it. Thankfully, Sora's barrier is strong enough to block the attack, and he uses his fire magic to throw a fire arrow at the monster, incinerating him in its wake. Sora is surprised that he was able to use fire magic in actual combat, and dodge a sudden blade in the final orc. This monster is different from the rest, with its massive size, difference in skin, and horns growing on top of his head. Sora feels confident in taking him down. However, not even his bullets are capable of piercing the orc's thick body. Sora decides to take matters with his sword, aiming to strike down the monster with his sword slash. Even that fails, as the guardian orc slams him with an attack so strong, he crashes right into a tree. Sora is at his wit's end, knowing that he is out of his stamina points, with nothing left to do. The adventurer thinks that he is about to meet his end, when suddenly, the mysterious figure emerges from the shadows, taking down the monster by himself and confirming the extent of Sora's strength. The covert assassin claims that the Order of the King summons Sora and needs to be coming along. Sora ponders the meaning behind his words, and doesn't know if the king is responsible for observing him until this point. Number 13 tells him to get on his feet, while Sora does his best to buy some time. He tries to ask questions, only to be shut down by the assassin, who claims that he is following the strict commands of King Alessia, who instructed him to confirm Sora's strength and bring him back to the castle. Sora claims that he's not that strong, but number 13 believes otherwise, as his accomplishment of taking down 4 orcs by himself is indeed powerful. Number 13 doesn't want to entertain the boy and tells him to follow him. Sora, on the other hand, has recovered some of his mana points and stamina points and immediately lunges for a strike, refusing to go back to the place that cast him away. To his shock, number 13 responds with his incredibly swift movements. Sora and number 13 engage in a full-on battle, and the moment Sora pulls out his gun, the spy takes his distance, as if he knows about the existence of the weapon. Sora knows that he can't even create a bullet because of his low mana points, and wonders how long his bluff is going to help him. Number 13 completely erases his presence and pops up from behind. After the result of a few clashes, Sora realizes that he has evaded every fatal strike, and only received minor cuts on his body. However, that is exactly when his body fails him, as he begins to fall to the ground. Sora doesn't know why his body suddenly went numb, and contemplates if his opponent's blade was actually laced with poison. Sora uses his appraisal skill to confirm the fact, and falls to the ground with his status window open. He tries his best to find any kind of skill that would help him resist the poison's effects, but it is all in vain, as Sora's body gives out long before he is able to issue a command.